Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Acharya Thakur, Jai Acharya Thakur, Jai Acharya Thakur, Jai Acharya Thakur. He who brought the treasure of divine love was filled with compassion and mercy. Where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopala Bhatta? And where did Krishna Das Kaviraj? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umlitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Ditati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Saganat Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakavitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Titanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarine. Can everybody move more this way? So we're more in the center of my purview, and thank you. So Srila Ishvara Puri is one of our important acharyas in our Guru Parampara disciplic succession. And in particular, and specifically, he was chosen or placed in the position to become the seeming spiritual master of the spiritual master of all the worlds, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, such an extraordinary personality. He's counted as, of course, as the spiritual master, one of the elders of Lord Chaitanya's associates, who, along with his own spiritual master, the predecessor, Madhavendra Puri, Advaitacharya, Lord Nityananda, his own father and mother, Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, appeared on this earth prior to his own Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So there is a very nice biographical description in our ISKCON Desire Tree, Gaudiya history, which has some nice things from Chaitanya Charitamrita as well as Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we can begin. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the first sprout of the desire tree of devotion, and in particular or in specific, the mood of conjugal love that was exhibited by Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Srimati Radharani, mirroring exactly her intense and inconceivable feelings in separation in her love for Krishna, that was first understood in this world through Madhavendra Puri, which it's interesting to note. This is the Dwadasi day after Vijaya Ekadasi, and in just 2 weeks from today, on the Dwadasi after the, what is the name of the next Ekadasi? I think it's Amalaki. It's so there's Ekadasi, and then 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, the 15th day, Amalaki, right, is Gaur Purnim. So Madhavendra Puri appears, his disappearance day is on the coming Dwadasi, 2 weeks from today, 4 days before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Was manifested in the person of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and that sprout developed into a sapling in the person of Sri Ishvara Puri. As we will hear in today's description, a disciple, a spiritual master may have many disciples, and they are all equal opportunity eligible. I even have a thing in our kitchen downstairs. If you feel that you've been discriminated against at the workplace, you have a right to appeal in the city agencies, this, that, the other thing. So everyone has a right to fully advance, but some take it fully and others do not. We see that in the case of Srila Prabhupada and his own godbrothers. Srila Prabhupada, and clearly, logically, and just by numbers, common sense, it is understood that Srila Prabhupada is the premier disciple of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada writes in one place that the greatest gift that the spiritual master has to give, which is near and dear and very much his very heart of hearts is the ability to preach love of Godhead all over the world. In the 23rd chapter of the fourth canto, Mars Pritu's Going Back Home, Back to Godhead, there are many, at least a dozen false shrutis, benedictions. And many of them are for people who have material desires and motivations in this material world. If one wants fame, recognition, to be honored by others, then one can very easily fulfill those desires by hearing the narration of Maharaj Prithu. And if a king going out to conquer his enemies hears the narration of Maharaj Prithu 3 times, narrates it 3 times, all of his enemies will be defeated and everyone will offer him subordination. They will all take their place in subordination. So great is this narration that such things are automatically there. But a real devotee doesn't take the bait. Srila Prabhupada says that the spiritual master might award the properties and the money of the institution, but he reserves the actual greatest gift to the disciple who wants nothing else except to serve the spiritual master. That is the case with Isvara Puri. And so important is this understanding that an entire chapter is given in the Antya Lila. Ramachandra Puri criticizes the Lord. Why would an entire chapter in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, albeit the Antya Lila, which is what all the devotees were begging to hear? There was already Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangala, the childhood pastimes, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya as a boy in his youth, very extensively. But the latter pastimes more or less remained unknown, confidential, secret. So why within the very valuable, there's only 20 chapters in the Antya Lila, and especially the last 6, chapters 14 through 20, really dive deep into the internal feelings of Lord Chaitanya, which is what his near and dear devotees and disciples wanted to know and understand. So an entire chapter is describing a fault-finding, criticizing devotee. And sometimes we look at social media, Facebook, oh, this nice festival, or this, devotees went on pilgrimage, these nice pictures. And then all of a sudden, without our planning, somebody's in there, and just spoils it, and we just get out of here. I don't even want to spend a tenth of a second anymore looking at this. Block, delete, rest, 30 days snooze, whatever. Because within that narration, Madhavendra Puri, Ramachandra Puri is his disciple, Isvara Puri is his disciple. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami makes the point that Madhavendra Puri blessed the entire world, the entire universe, by providing these 2 examples. Our Ramachandra Puri became a fault finder and criticizer of everyone else, so much so that he unabashedly and in his own mind justifiably is criticizing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Can you imagine? Whereas Isvara Puri menially is serving as spiritual master. It's described that the spiritual master, for the sake of allowing the disciples to become more intimate in their service, displays the pastime of illness. Spiritual master has nothing to do with the material body, but seemingly he's providing an opportunity to serve him, to serve the spiritual master in his old age, invalidity, like that. That was the case with Madhavendra Puri. And Ishvara Puri performed very menial service, very much pleased him. And Madhavendra Puri blessed him. My dear child, I can simply pray that you become a great devotee in the ocean of love of Godhead. Anyway, I was going to read, but I'm describing it now. Ramachandra Puri came to the place of Madhavendra Puri when he was about to depart the planet. And Madhavendra Puri, this is the chapter 4 of the Madhya Lila, the pastimes of the devotional service of Madhavendra Puri. And interestingly enough, this is very nice, that when Lord Chaitanya, along with Lord Nityananda and other devotees, came to the temple of Ramuna, Shirchor Gopinath in Ramuna, the deity who stole the sweet rice. This chapter, Lord Chaitanya is narrating the story of Madhavendra Puri, but that story, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Lord Chaitanya says, was told to me by my spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. So that we will hear extensively in 2 weeks on the next Dwadasi. I bookmarked it, please. Where did I put the bookmark? There it is. The characteristic of Ramachandra Puri was that first he would induce someone to eat more than necessary, and then he would criticize him. Please come. I'm preparing a feast for you. Sit down. You like? Take more. Oh, very nice. You like? Take one. No, I'm full. Oh, but please, you must take more. No, I'm full. I insist. You must. All right, I'll take more. And it's so good. And eat more. And then what happens? Encouraging him again and again, Ramachandra Puri fed him sumptuously. But when Jagadananda had washed his hands and mouth, Ramachandra Puri began criticizing him. I have heard, whisper, that the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat more than necessary. Now I have directly seen this to be true. Aha. Feeding a sannyasi too much breaks his regulative principles. When a sannyasi eats too much, his renunciation is destroyed. The characteristic of Ramachandra Puri was first that he would induce someone to eat more than necessary, and then he would criticize him. Formerly, when Madhavendra Puri was at the last stage of his life, Ramachandra Puri came to where he was staying. Madhavendra Puri was chanting the holy name of Krishna, and sometimes he would cry, "Oh my Lord, I did not get shelter at Mathura." Then Ramachandra Puri was so foolish that he fearlessly dared to instruct his spiritual master. If you are full in transcendental bliss, he said, you should now remember only Brahman. Why are you crying? In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma Nasochati Nakankshati. A Brahman realized person is always happy. He neither laments nor aspires for anything. Not knowing why Madhavendra Puri was crying, Ramachandra Puri tried to become his advisor. Thus, he committed a great offense, for a disciple should never try to instruct his spiritual master. Hearing this instruction, Madhavendra Puri, greatly angry, rebuked him, saying, "Get out of here, you sinful rascal!" Ramachandra Puri could not understand that his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, was feeling transcendental separation. His lamentation was not material. Rather, it proceeded from the highest stage of ecstatic love of Krishna. In the fourth chapter of the Madhya Lila, it's described that Madhavendra Puri's feelings and the verse that he spoke, which we're coming to very soon, was actually so confidential that no fourth person besides Lord Chaitanya, Srimati Radharani, and Madhavendra Puri could understand how deep were those feelings. And Madhavendra Puri is credited and glorified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself as the person who brought the facility of conjugal love of Godhead to be understood and distributed in this world. When he was crying in separation, I could not achieve Krishna, I could not reach Mathura. This was not ordinary material lamentation. Ramachandra Puri was not sufficiently expert to understand the feelings of Madhavendra Puri, but nevertheless, he thought himself very advanced. This is a symptom of the lowest stage of devotion, Kanishta Adhikari, that one thinks or imagines oneself very, very advanced. And in acute stages of this illusion, one becomes so overwhelmed in one's intelligence or lack of it that one thinks that one can instruct or one is in a superior position to those who are much more advanced in knowledge, devotion, renunciation than themselves. Here is the case. And Ramachandra Puri, he's already a sannyasi and a quote unquote senior devotee by age and years. Therefore, regarding Madhavendra Puri's expressions as ordinary material lamentation, he advised him to remember Brahman because he was latently an impersonalist. Madhavendra Puri understood Ramachandri's position as a great fool, and therefore he immediately rebuked him. Such a reprimand from the spiritual master is certainly for the betterment of the disciple. Actually, the verse is not here. It's in, anyway, we will wait to hear it. O my Lord Krishna, I could not reach you, nor could I reach your abode Mathura. I am dying in my unhappiness, and now this rascal has come to give me more pain. Don't show your face to me. Go wherever you like. If I die seeing your face, I shall not achieve the destination of my life. I am dying without achieving the shelter of Krishna, and therefore I am greatly unhappy. Now this condemned foolish rascal has come to instruct me about Brahman. Ramachandra Puri was thus denounced by Madhavendra Puri. Due to his offense, gradually material desire appeared within him. One who is attached to dry, speculative knowledge has no relationship with Krishna. His occupation is in criticizing Vaishnavas. So if we approach if our attempt or if we approach slash attempt to understand Krishna consciousness is in an academic or intellectual way without the requisite pure devotional service, the change of heart, the purification of heart, and proper motivation. Hansarupa Prabhu recently was saying that we have to make that decision. And that supersedes the intellectual platform. And then the devotee, you will be given all necessary instruction to see everything in right perspective through every stage of your advancement, which also includes the stages of your life. You know, many of us, we join when we're young, and then we have to pass through our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s, et cetera, et cetera. If you become conscious of me, you will cross over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. But if you act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. His occupation is in criticizing Vaishnavas. Thus, he is situated in criticism. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained in his Anubhasya. Anubhasya is the name for his purports or commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which if you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see Srila Prabhupada is relying and referring to these commentaries very plentifully and heavily. That the word nirbandha indicates that Ramachandra Puri had a steady desire. But maybe we criticize, or we have some criticism, we catch ourselves, or it's not so important, or it's like 1 out of 30 or 1 out of 50. We have 49 good things. But here, steady desire to criticize others. Like you see, like we were saying, social media, something, their whole life, how many hours a day, and and like on and on and on to the ad nauseum. Don't you get a life? Do you have a life? This is your only steady desire to criticize others. Impersonalist Mayavadis who have no relationship with Krishna, who cannot take the devotional service, and who simply engage in material arguments to understand Brahman, regard devotional service to Krishna as karma, kanda, or fruit of activities. According to them, devotional service to Krishna is but another means for attaining dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Therefore, they criticize the devotees for engaging in material activities. They can't understand the difference between material activities and devotional activities. That's why many of the so-called Babajis and those concentrating on higher topics, sitting in a secluded place, they criticize the devotees who go into the material world, use material facilities, and are engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta very sternly and strongly warned us against associating, sympathizing, fraternizing with such persons and their lifestyles, because it will simply lead to worse than ruination. You're ruined, okay, let me pick up and start again. But this type of thing can ruin you for many lifetimes. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I can't even begin to try to understand how that person was infected or the extent of that infection, went before Jagat Guru, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and asked to be blessed by him to find a bona fide spiritual master. It's shocking to even hear this and what to speak of, try to understand how this could possibly. And Prabhupada said, I bless you to not find a bona fide spiritual master. I don't remember the number, but it was a large number, many multiplied lifetimes. They think that devotional service is Maya, and that Krishna or Vishnu is also Maya. Therefore, they are called Mayavadis. If the shoe fits, wear it. Such a mentality awakens in a person who is an offender to Krishna and his devotees. When Maharaj Rahugana came to understand who Jud Bharat was, and he fell down and begged forgiveness, he said, there are many terrible things to be afraid of. The thunderbolt of King Indra, the what of Lord Shiva, the trident of, and Shiva Ratri is on Wednesday, by the way. But I'm greatly afraid of an offense to a Vaishnava, because the reaction to this is by far worse than anything else terrible that can happen in this material world. So Lord Chaitanya is very kindly converting the Mayavadi sannyasis at Banaras, mainly using, or he was opening with the instructions from his spiritual master to always chant the holy name, is emblematic of how kind and merciful Krishna is. Patita Pavana Hetu Saba Avatar. No more merciful incarnation than Lord Chaitanya. Converting such persons who, this is their mentality, this is their offense, and elevating them, blessing them, giving them love of Godhead. Isvara Puri, the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, performed service to Madhavendra Puri, cleaning up his stool and urine with his own hand. Last stage of his life, he became invalid. Isvara Puri was always chanting the holy name and pastimes of Lord Krishna for Madhavendra Puri to hear. In this way, he helped Madhavendra Puri remember the holy name and pastimes of Lord Krishna at the time of death. Greatly pleased with Isvara Puri, Madhavendra Puri embraced him. Brahmananda and his younger brother Gargamuni were sent by Srila Prabhupada to preach, in Brahmananda's case, Pakistan, which at that time was called West Pakistan, and Gargamuni into East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. They were being spat on, they were being threatened, death threats left and right. Terrible. And news came in an Indian newspaper, 4 Hare Krishnas missionaries shot dead in Pakistan. And Prabhupada was so greatly worried. I believe it was Gargamuni came first. There was a pandal in Bombay. There's a picture of it, the first Cross Maidan pandal in 1971. And when he came to the Akash Ganga building, it was a very nice place where the devotees were staying on the 7th floor overlooking the ocean. And when Prabhupada saw Gargamuni come in fresh from the travel, all dirty and, and he just embraced him. And it was just like rubbing him up and down, like a long lost child, the mother finding. And the same for Brahmananda when he appeared in. And the recount of Gargamuni and Brahmananda, this was the most special thing you could ever experience. And Prabhupada very rarely would engage his sense of touch with the disciples. But in this case, it was just like, so here, Madhavendra Puri is firmly embracing Isvara Puri and gave him the benediction that he would be a great devotee and lover of Krishna. Thus, Isvara Puri became like an ocean of ecstatic love for Krishna, whereas Ramachandra Puri became a dry speculator and critic of everyone else. What a contrast. This is what to do. Danger, poison. this is not what not to do. Ishvara Puri received the blessing of Madhavendra Puri, whereas Ramachandra Puri received a rebuke from him. Therefore, these two persons, Ishvara Puri and Ramachandra Puri, are examples of the objects of a great personality's benediction and punishment. Madhavendra Puri instructed the entire world by presenting these two examples. Oh, here's the verse. His divine grace, Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of the entire world, thus distributed ecstatic love for Krishna. While passing away from the material world, he chanted the following verse. Ai dina dayadra nata he, matura nata kavod lakshya se. Hirlayam tvad aloka kataram, dayata brahmyati kim karomi aham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? In this verse, Madhavendra Puri teaches how to achieve ecstatic love for Krishna by feeling separation from Krishna. One becomes spiritually situated. Madhavendra Puri sowed the seed of ecstatic love for Krishna within this material world and then departed. That seed later became a great tree in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have incidentally described the passing away of Madhavendra Puri. Anyone, that means all of us, all of you, who hears this must be considered very fortunate. Bhagyavan. I am going to scrupulously follow the time limit and stop at 9 o'clock. So you have that as a comfort to know that I will not go beyond the allotted. I will not be, what is it? The tide will not come on shore like it did on the 29th of October in 2012 and flood Far Rockaway and all the subway tunnels. And okay. I'll touch a little bit here. So, being a sannyasi, being in the renounced order of life, the definition at the time, 500 years ago, was more or less claimed by the Mayavad group. So, Lord Chaitanya, he was very expert in logic and debate. He defeated the Keshava Kashmiri. He was very, very famous. But on the plea of going to Gaya to offer Pinda on behalf of his departed father, Jagannath Mishra, it was arranged by Providence that he would meet Srila Ishvara Puri. And Ishvara Puri became an ecstatic lover of Krishna. He's blessed by his spiritual master. We won't have time to read, but I posted on the Radha Govinda group chat, where you can look yourself, ISKCON Desire Tree biography, Madhavendra Puri. He begged and took initiation from Ishvara Puri, and after that, he became completely ecstatic in love of Godhead. and he began his Sankirtan movement. Everyone is welcome. Doesn't matter your caste, doesn't matter your position. We know that the Brahmins of Navadvip, they're complaining to the Muslim magistrate, the Chand Kazi. Nimai Pandit is spoiling the Hindu religion, chanting and dancing in the street with all varieties of low-class people, destroying our let's say, fake illusory idea that we brainwashed everybody into believing that the higher stages of spiritual realization and facility are only there if you're born in that group. You even see there's mundane religious systems in the modes of passion and ignorance. Unless you're born this way, that's it. Then you're considered an outsider, even less than a human being. Maharaj Chitraketu, when he met Lord Anantadev, how can such a religious system which promotes envy and violence upon others give you pleasure? He's speaking to Lord Anantadev. So, Prakashananda Saraswati and his followers, they're greatly impressed by the beauty of Lord Chaitanya and also his humility. Previously amongst themselves, they're like criticizing, who is this sannyasi? He's just like a opportunist. He's just like a magician in his show. You know, he's not a sannyasi. He's not engaged in the duties of. But like we speak behind our back, but then when the person comes, okay, la la la, we go through. We make like a show of being polite. Okay. You are a sannyasi. Why do you indulge in chanting and dancing, engaging in your Sankirtan movement in the company of fanatics? This is the challenge by Prakashananda Saraswati to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the object of Vedanta philosophical research, has very kindly determined who is an appropriate candidate study for Vedanta philosophy. The first qualification of such a candidate is expressed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the third verse of his Shashastakam, which we can all say together in Sanskrit. Janadapi suniche na terhoriva saheshtana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadhari. This statement indicates that one can hear or speak about Vedanta philosophy through the disciplic succession. One must be very humble and meek, more tolerant than the tree and more humble than the grass. One must have all these qualifications to be able to understand Vedic philosophy. Meditation and the study of Vedanta are the sole duties of a sannyasi. Why do you abandon these to dance with fanatics? You look as brilliant as if you were Narayan himself. Will you kindly explain the reason that you have adopted the behavior of low-class people? Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality, why have you adopted the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to Prakashananda Saraswati, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master, Isvara Puri, considered me a fool and therefore he chastised me. When Prakashananda Saraswati inquired from the Lord why he neither studied Vedanta nor performed meditation, Lord Chaitanya presented himself as a number one fool in order to indicate that in this present age, Kali Yuga, it is an age of fools and rascals in which it is not possible to attain perfection simply by reading Vedanta philosophy and meditating. And Prabhupada is compiling, particularly third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, what to speak of throughout the Bhagavatam. but in particular, Lord Kapila's explanation of the yoga system, that people think that they can perform yoga. It's not possible to do some yoga exercise in some fashionable city and become self-realized, all the while one is addicted to illicit sex and intoxication. It is not possible to undergo the rigors of the yoga system as was done in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, etc. People are so fallen, but in this age, the Lord has given such a great concession that all the benefits and acquirements and ultimate goals of the yoga system and so much more are available in chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which Lord Chaitanya is by and by and with great kindness and at length instructing in this important chapter. As we were mentioning earlier, so important is this chapter that Srila Prabhupada instructed as early as 1970 his ISKCON Press to publish this chapter as a book called Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features, which had already, Prabhupada in his own rendering of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, this is one of the important chapters, which came out in 1968. Haranam, 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 Avikevalam. In this age of Kali and hypocrisy, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name 3 times. You are a fool, he said. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. And correspondingly, if you surrender and take up the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you will become the expert knower of Vedanta philosophy, and what to speak of being able to speak on behalf of the Vedic philosophy and impress it upon others. In other words, you become the spiritual master of the entire world. That is the emblematic glory of Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur passed away from this world, Lord Chaitanya pronounced his glories, Parama Vidvan, the most learned person. And Prabhupada, purporting, said, Parama Vidvan means one who knows the process of relieving oneself, getting free from the process of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age, and regaining one's eternal position in the spiritual world. One who knows that process, how to do that, is the most learned person. And Prabhupada clarifies or defines Haridas Thakur as such a learned person because he was chanting the holy name of the Lord 192 rounds a day, 300,000 names a day. These are very wonderful and important purports. Everyone should read them if you haven't read them already, and keep them dear throughout your whole life and refer to them repeatedly. Only fools give up the service of the spiritual master and think themselves advanced in spiritual knowledge. In order to check such fools, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself presented the perfect example of how to be a disciple. Every disciple must consider himself completely unaware of the science of Krishna consciousness and must always be ready to carry out the orders of the spiritual master to become competent in Krishna consciousness. So this is an amazing paradox which we can understand very nicely. Krishna consciousness is dynamic activity. When Shama Sundar or some of his other leading disciples came into Srila Prabhupada's room, they never knew what to expect. It was always like new and exciting. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, Pratipanam Purnat Mitis Vardhanam. Ever increasing. So you don't think considering yourself a fool means that you're open. Like the catcher, a good catcher in a baseball game, they can catch anything that's thrown at them, whatever it is. They're not stereotyped or habituated. Oh, it's got to be like this. And if it's not like that, then they have a problem and they'll fault find and they'll criticize or lose faith. And by keeping yourself like that, then what does Prabhupada say? You will always be fit to execute Krishna consciousness. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. In this age of Kali, there is no other religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. So we can hear the glories of Srila Ishvara Puri. Even though by time calculation, so many hundreds of years have passed. But in terms of association of devotees and what to speak of Guru Parampara, we are the hands and legs and physical manifestation to do the bidding and work of this glorious disciplic succession on this planet. The spiritual master is glorified. Srila Prabhupada is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, Bhutale, because he is propagating Krishna consciousness. So we bow down in the dust of the feet of Srila Ishvara Puri and thank him for his contribution to this glorious Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Rupanuga Prabhupadanuga Sampradaya. Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Haribo. With 23 seconds to spare.